any slaves that they had during that time, they generally more than likely took the last name of the slave owner. If they were moved to another plantation or sent somewhere else, then their last name might change. But between, I would say, the 1800s, like 1800 and 1900, because some people were still enslaved all the way up to 1900 in some parts of South America. During that time, when some of the slaves and people were becoming freedmen, they might keep the last name of the first place where they were, because they were there for so long. And when they go to the next place, that first last name that they had might become a middle name. And there is instances often where, especially in Latin America, where you have a first name, a middle name, and then you have two last names, if someone from Latin America immigrated to America or some other countries, they had to drop one of those last names. So they chose which last name that they dropped. But also, when you're researching, sometimes they may use that middle name as a last name. And when they their middle name as a last name, so on top of having different spellings for the same last name, when entering into different countries, you also had where names were dropped and names were lost, but then they may pick up again through a child or a grandchild. So it can get really tricky when you are searching and doing your research, and you're focusing on a specific spelling of a last name. So if, for instance, my grandfather was an immigrant, where he immigrated from was a British country, but prior to that, he was in a Latin American country. So when researching, I have to not only look at the spelling of the name that we have now, but I also have to look into different variations of the spelling of that last name in different countries when I'm looking into Latin American documents and when I'm looking into American and UK documents. But as well, if your ancestor was in the military, if they traveled, then that spelling might change as well. And it's like that sometimes during modern day times today also. When my brother was in the military back in the 90s, he was in Germany, and him being a Lewis, his name was written as Lewinsky when during the time that he was in. So if I was researching my brother and trying to find some information on him from when he was in Germany, then I would have to look at the variations of the spelling of the name. Also, over centuries, last names have changed. Again, referring to my own last name, at one time Lewis was Lelowin. It's a whole bunch of different, I can't even go into all of the different variations, but there's at least about 10 different variations of Lewis that were used before it actually turned into Lewis. So if you're able to research past the 1800s, then you're going to find definitely different variations